I absolutely love listening to music. It can change my mood, it can excite me, sadden me, bring hope or courage. It's amazing. Sound can connect with us in a very deep way, and I find that fascinating, to be honest. So having as many ways as I can to conveniently listen to music when I want to in decent quality is something that means quite a lot to me. Well, in today's video, we'll be finding out how the QD35 Bluetooth speaker from Edifier performs and meets that need.
Iron Wolf Pro. Tough, ready, scalable.
Hey guys, I'm Matt and welcome to my full review of the QD35 Bluetooth speaker from Edifier. This one's a bit different from the Edifier products that I've reviewed on the channel in the past. The speaker itself is designed to go in a lounge or a living space to provide an easy way to listen to some music, and although it does have the option of connecting to a PC, I feel that's not the main focus that Edifier are going for here. It's got a very unusual design featuring what Edifier call Lumia Art lighting effects. We know it as RGB. It offers a few different connectivity options. Obviously there's Bluetooth, as I've mentioned a few times already and is in the name. Then alongside that there's 3.5mm auxiliary and USB Type-A inputs for connecting to your phone or your computer. It supports high-res audio both over the wired and Bluetooth connections, and it can charge your devices via USB-A or USB-C charging ports that are built in. The retail price for one of these is 190 quid here in the UK, so let's get stuck in and see if it's any good. Before I start talking, I want you to look at this thing in a bit more detail. Here's some B-roll of it, and then just off the cuff, write a comment down below letting me know what are your first impressions. It's definitely a bit out there in terms of the design. The front features a 3-inch mid-bass driver and a 1-inch silk dome tweeter sitting inside a transparent plastic case. Sitting behind that transparent case is, as you can see, a futuristic, industrial-styled reflective shroud and several customizable RGB strips. The lighting from those strips is pretty good, and there are a fair few different lighting modes to choose from. There's a small display at the bottom of this inner section which shows the time, connection and EQ modes, then some Edifier branding on the right hand side. The QD35 comes in both black, which is the model that I've got here, and also a white version. The overall design of the speaker is, I feel, aimed at a younger person. The top has some quite large Edifier branding, but it's the left side that made me laugh a little bit if I'm honest. Born for speed, born for safety. How can a speaker be born for speed or safety? It's obviously referring to the charging ports, I think, which are found just below that wording, but it's a little bit too much in my opinion. This is so far and away from the product design that I'm used to seeing from Edifier. Gone are the subtle contrasts of wood and textured plastic found on the S1000Ws that I reviewed recently, and in with the tacky wording and the over-the-top branding and just a generally more toyish look in my opinion. The entire thing is coated in glossy black plastic which picks up fingerprints very, very easily. The top and the bottom panels, to me, they look like those lids for those plastic storage tubs that you can get, only painted black, or kind of like an ammo crate out of a game. The QD35 design is definitely going to split opinion. Some people will likely love it. I, on the other hand, am not a fan if I'm being honest. This speaker, in my opinion, would have looked so much better with a clean and minimalistic and simple design. Something more in line with what I'm used to seeing from Edifier. But then again, that's only my opinion. You might like it, each to their own. Moving on from the design then to look at the build quality, and things quickly started to improve as I was writing and coming up with this review. The QD35 feels really well made. It's not the biggest speaker in the world, measuring 28cm wide, 16cm high and 14cm deep, but it still weighs in at a chunky 2.6 kilograms. The construction feels solid all around, there are no creaks to the plastic housing, and the fit and finish is really good quality everywhere. The knobs and buttons on the right hand side of the QD35 all feel really good. They fit really tight in their housings and don't have any rattle. The amount of play in the rotary knobs is very, very minimal. The controls just feel good. The bottom panel has some rubber isolation feet for keeping the speaker in place on the desk and helping reduce vibrations. They're quite small, but they do the job well enough. The speaker doesn't move without a decent amount of force being used on it. One thing I think this speaker would definitely benefit from massively is an official IP rated water resistance. With summer on the way, I can't help but feel that the QD35 will be perfect at a barbecue, or if you're lucky enough to live somewhere hot enough, you could stick it out next to a swimming pool. I feel that Edifier missed out on a big chunk of users by not giving this speaker the ability to take a bit of a splash. But as it is, it's for indoor use only, and that lack of water resistance just I feel holds it back a little bit. Right then, let's talk about how this speaker sounds, the most important bit in my opinion, starting with the specs. As I mentioned earlier, the QD35 features a 3-inch mid-bass driver and a 1-inch silk dome tweeter, which reproduce a frequency range of 60 to 40,000 Hz, with the DSP chipset splitting the signal equally between the two. The total output power is 40 watts RMS, 25 watts for the low and mids coming from that 3-inch bass driver, mid-bass driver, and then 15 watts for the highs. The speaker supports high-res audio at up to 96,000 Hz via both the wired and Bluetooth connections. Now, while I like a spec list as much as the next nerd, I try to produce my reviews based on real-world usage and my experience with the products that I look at, as I feel that's the best way for me to give you my honest take on what I'm looking at. And this speaker has really pleased and impressed me. It hasn't blown me away like previous Edifier products, but it's not bad. The sound is clean and crisp at all volume levels, including maxing out the EQ and the volume. Not that you'd want to do this, as the EQ is about balance and highlighting different frequencies to your preference. Don't just crank everything to max, ever, please. I just did it to try and get this speaker to clip or distort while listening to music, and it's handled it really well. The sound comes across to me as quite bassy. I don't have the equipment to measure the exact frequencies that this thing's putting out, but going off of my everyday use, the highs don't come through as much as on previous Edifier speakers that I can hear anyway. Adjusting the EQ through the Edifier Connect app, which we'll look at along with the connectivity in a moment, is simple enough, but to me it only makes a minor difference. Taking away or adding up to 3 decibels of gain across 6 preset frequency bands, which does sound like enough of a boost or a cut, but in reality, to my ears, it only changes the sound very slightly. The stereo imagery or sound staging on the QD35 is not too great, if I'm honest, so I wouldn't recommend using it for the main audio source on a gaming PC, especially if you play games that require accurate audio cues. But then again, that's not what this speaker's for. Here are some sound tests, all recorded in the same environment with the same microphone and the same microphone settings. So, for its size, this thing does pack a punch and is more than enough to fill your lounge, as Edifier claim it will on their website. The sound is pleasing, and music across a variety of genres sounds good to my ears coming out of this little speaker. Now, I've touched on it a couple of times briefly throughout the video, but the connectivity options offered by the QD35 are threefold. There's Bluetooth 5.3 for connecting to devices such as mobile phones wirelessly. Then there are 2 wired options, a USB Type A and a 3.5mm audio jack. All of the cables are included that you'd need, so you're ready to go as soon as you get the QD35 out of the box. You can also charge devices via the USB-A and the USB-C ports on the left-hand side of the speaker. And this is fast charging for both ports, powered by TurboGaN high-efficiency charging technology. The USB-C port is capable of outputting 35 watts of power, whereas the USB-A port is 18 watts of power. That's if you use them independently. If you use them both simultaneously, then both ports will run at 18 watt maximum. You can control and adjust everything about the speaker from the speaker itself via the controls on the right hand side. If you choose to do this though, you'll be restricted to the preset EQ and lighting options. And that's where the Edifier Connect app comes in. It's a relatively simple to use app that I've covered in previous videos, but it allows you to further tweak the settings of the speaker by adjusting the EQ to your liking, activating the high-res audio playback, and downloading more lighting effects. There's not too many to choose from, but they're pretty good. It's easy to set up and connect the QD35 to your phone. Just add it as a Bluetooth device and then grab the app and then start tweaking. The app is laid out quite well and it's easy to find most things that you want. The LDAC, or the high-res wireless audio option, is a little bit hidden though. You just tap on this little settings icon at the top right and then head into LDAC. I'd like to see this moved to be more prominent on the home screen, as you do have to do a little bit of digging to find it. But other than that small gripe, I've got no major issues with the Edifier Connect app. It works all right. So in conclusion then, I like how this speaker sounds, but I'm not a big fan of how it looks, which is okay because that's just my personal preference. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder and all that. The design to me looks a bit tacky and a little bit too futuristic. It looks a little bit like a toy. But on the flip side, the QD35 sounds great, and it sounds great across the whole range of its volume. The bass is present throughout the range of EQ tweaks, which I like. The highs are there and they do sound good, but they're not too harsh or piercing. As in my other reviews of Edifier products, the sound here is quite balanced. I would love to see this speaker with added water resistance, as I think it would be absolutely perfect for putting in your garden when you have a barbecue. Summer's on its way. I think it's missing it. And like in the UK, if you want to put it outside, you never know when the skies are going to open and ruin the day. Apart from the looks, I don't have much bad to say about this speaker. It sounds great, just don't stare at it for too long. And that's the end of the review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave me a like down below if you did. I'd really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe to Kit Guru to keep up with the latest PC gaming news and reviews. There'll be links in the video's description to our merch store, our Patreon page, our Discord server and our website if you want to go and check any of those out. Anyway, guys, this has been the QD35. I've been Matt as usual. I'll speak to you in the next one. Look after yourselves. See you later.